What's up, y'all? One Piece One Life here, and guys, I've been on vacation. I've been visiting my sister in Baltimore, and that's why I didn't have any of my equipment. I couldn't make any long form videos, but I thought that's okay because we'll just do some shorts. But this topic? Oh, this needs its own video. See, in the most recent chapter of One Piece, spoiler warning by the way, I'll give y'all 3 seconds to jump off if you don't want to be spoiled. 3, 2, 1. I'ma assume everyone who's still here is either caught up or doesn't care about being spoiled, so let's go. We were served to one of the most amazing spreads in the series. Oda shows us that all 5 of the paths of purgatory have pulled up to Egghead, and not only that, they've all transformed into their monstrous demon forms. And as many people guessed, after having seen Saturn's form, they're all generally based around the concept of yokai. For those of you who don't know, yokai are essentially Japanese ghosts or spirits, or just supernatural beings at large. Creatures that provide us with explanations for the crazy phenomena that we experience. But with the Gorosei's arrival and their demonstration of what they can transform into, we may finally know what their powers could be, because they definitely have not shown us all that they can do. So without further ado, let's get into explaining the Gorosei's powers. But first guys, please, y'all know the drill. Like the video, subscribe to the page for more One Piece content just like this, and share it around with all your friends who love One Piece. Let's get it going. Also, shout out to Library of Ohara for the quick recap of what all of them are at the end of the chapter. While I did my own outside research, using this as a basis was a really big help. Now, the first thing to note right out the gate is that from what I've seen in both the official and the scans, this doesn't seem to be devil fruit related. I mean, we see that there's literally no devil fruit classifications, they're just introduced as what they are. So, demons in One Piece may be confirmed? If that's true, it'll definitely help out down the line with a demonic race that I'm planning in my sequel story. So what we're gonna do is go in the order of who I think is the strongest, going from weakest to strongest and saving the strongest for last. And with that being said, let's start out the video with Jay Garcia's Saturn. I'ma just go out on a limb and say that Saturn's the weakest just because he was introduced to us first. Oda's typical writing style when having a group of this sort is to have the first person typically be the weakest so that everyone else's showings down the line. So Oda reveals that he is the Gyuki, like many people had guessed, and is based on the Japanese yokai, the Ushioni. These spirits have ox-like faces and spider-like bodies, and apparently they have really savage personalities and folklore. Maybe that's why Garcia was such an asshole to Kuma. Interesting to note though, the Ushioni are known to spit poison. Why is this important? Because while Saturn can't spit poison, at least as far as we've seen so far, his appendages are laced in poison. And what that means is that we can at least assume that Oda is taking inspiration from the actual yokai's powers and in some form incorporating them into what the Gorosei can do. But another thing we can do to try and figure out some of the powers that the Gorosei may have is look at their names. Since all 5 of their names are based off of planets, and quite interestingly, the planets that aren't the ancient weapons, the 5 of them have a special way of being written in Japanese. See, the kanji making up their names is a combination of one of the core elements and then the word sei, which roughly translates to star or planet. Side note, the 5 core elements are essentially an ancient Japanese conceptual system of the 5 things that make up the core of all life and existence. Go and read about it. It's fascinating. So for Saturn's name, the planet Saturn is said Gorosei in Japanese. Now this roughly translates to rock star or rock planet. Now, as far as powers wise, this may be a stretch, but maybe the whole force thing where Jay Garcia can just, lock people in place, prevent them from moving. Maybe the whole idea there is the same concept of as being still as the earth. I know this is an incredible reach. That's why I'm saying it. Next up, let's talk about Shepherd Jupiter. So Jupiter can transform into a sandworm, and right out of the gate, this must look pretty familiar to a lot of people because a very similar creature appeared in the Dune franchise, and the second movie, Dune 2, just came out really recently. This beast is in a whole lot of other media too, and it's really prevalent in RPGs like D&D and Monster Hunter. So as we can see in the most recent chapter, and also what just seems to be pretty obvious, its ability is simply to, dig down into the ground, navigate through the underground, and then pop back up to attack or eat its targets. But while that may be its only demonstrated power as of yet, looking at its name, we may get a clue as to what other powers it has. See, Jupiter in Japanese is Mokusei, which roughly translates to wood star, the same way that in Naruto, Mokuton is what they call wood style. So the idea here is maybe Jupiter has some sort of wood manipulation abilities a la, Hashirama. And if it is something like that, it would have to be wood control on, Hashirama's level. It can't be on a bum like Yamato's level. Another option could just be by combining those two elements where you have the sand from the sandworm and some sort of elemental manipulation. So you have not only the sandworm digging through the earth, but also able to control sand. It would kind of be similar to Crocodile's ability, but I imagine it would be on a whole other level. Next up, we have Marcus Mars. Mars is the Itsumare, a bird-like yokai with a creepy human/skull-esque face and a snaking body. I can't lie, it also kind of reminds me of the Quetzalcoatl from Aztec legend, which Oda may have also used as inspiration. This yokai is known for flying around and circling around areas where there's death and suffering, so talk about a weird-ass bird. Particularly, it usually shows up when there's some sort of disease or plague happening, so maybe its powers have something to do with viruses, sickening, or just the overall general concept of weakening. Who knows, maybe Mars can make somebody so weak that they forget how to fight. And again, just like with Crocodile, I know that already exists since there is the Shiku Shiku no Mi, or the Sick fruit that Doc Q has. But again, this is the Gorosei. It's gonna be on a completely different level. Things that Doc Q probably can't even dream of doing. Now, let's look at that name. Mars in Japanese is Kase, which translates to fire star. And as we know, or at least should know, because, the American education system may be failing y'all, Mars as a planet is characterized by heat. So maybe Marcus Mars can have some sort of fire manipulation ability, or at least generate explosions? I can't really tell exactly what it looked like from this chapter, but it kind of looked like some sort of explosion occurred when he attacked the Lapistratum defense barrier. For the penultimate Elder Demon, and the one who, in my opinion, easily looks the coolest, we have Ethan Baron V. Nusjuro. He can transform into the Bakotsu, and just look at this thing and try and tell me it's not the coolest thing you've ever seen. It essentially looks like a skeletal horse of some kind, with kind of cloth around its head, or almost like skin, just there fluttering, peeling off. So, according to legend, the Bakotsu is the spirit of a horse whose bones were burned in a fire. Maybe this is why Nusjuro can use ice with his slashes, because it's kind of a counter to the fact that it's fire. Now, when you take a look at the name, Venus translates to Kinsei, which in and of itself roughly translates to gold star. Now, the thing to know here is that the gold in it is supposed to represent the fifth core element of metal. And guess who uses metal? Because he's a sword user. So obviously we have to see with the rest of the Gorosei what Oda chooses to do with them. But to me, at least, this just makes sense in terms of Oda. He's drawing on inspiration from somewhere. He's not just creating random creatures out of nowhere. So why not use their powers, mix it in a little bit, remix obviously, because you don't want to have the exact same thing, but you still use it as inspiration. It's still cool. And side note real quick, can we all agree that what he's using is the Shodai Kitetsu? We all know this, right? I mean, the only of the Kitetsu series that we have yet to see, and on top of that, it's a Black Blade. I don't know. Mihawk fans, y'all might be in trouble. Finally, for the last of the five, we have Top Man Warkuri. Now he becomes the Hoki, which is this boar creature. This, interestingly enough, is another situation just like the sandworm, where it doesn't come from Japanese culture, but rather This one comes from Chinese folklore. It's a monster from Chinese ancient tales called, and excuse my pronunciation, Fengji. In the legend, it's described as a two-headed giant boar that terrorizes villages and lives in the mountains. Now, while through at least my research, I couldn't find anything in particular that the Hoki did that could tie its powers to Saturn, I do think that Oda is gonna try and give him a little bit of an extra flair. Since he's the only one who didn't really do anything major this chapter, something's telling me that Oda's leaving him off to show what he can do at a later point, which to me indicates like, oh, maybe he's the strongest. Now let's try to look for some powers in the name department. The planet Mercury's Japanese name is Suisei, which roughly translates to water star. In fact, that's where Mercury comes from because it's combining the wa from water and Mercury. So here's the thing. From this, people could logically say, oh, well, maybe he has some sort of water-based ability. And after that, the approximately 1,017 angry YouTube commenters will go to them and call them crazy and stupid for saying that because,
oh, but there can't be a water devil fruit power.
See, this is why the internet is finished, because that's wrong on so many levels. Because for one thing, who said there can't be a water devil fruit? As far as I remember, Oda didn't say that. We're just assuming just because water is all devil fruit's weakness, somehow there can't be a water fruit. Why not? Secondly, Mercury isn't even a devil fruit user. In fact, there's more evidence for him being a literal demon. Like, who are you to tell Oda how demons work in his own fictitious world? But that's the matter at hand. I do think that it's possible that he may have some water-based ability, but maybe it's not water itself. Maybe it's like a water-like substance or something that has a similar consistency, like, I don't know, some sort of goo, gel, maybe acid. That would be a good one. Something that could have the freedom and the flow of water while not actually being water itself. Or maybe he'll just have some random power that's completely unrelated. Maybe all of them will. Who knows? I don't. You don't. Well, the only person who knows is our Lord and Savior, Oda. Damn, the Oda glazing was a bit heavy today. I gotta pull back. But yeah, guys, that's some ideas that I have of what the Gorosei's powers can be. What abilities do you guys think we'll see from them? Which Gorosei is your favorite now that we've seen their transformation? Let me know all that good stuff and more in the comments. That's the end of the video, y'all. Now please, guys, y'all already know what I'm about to say. Like the video, okay? Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this. I'm waiting, and share it around with all your friends who love One Piece. Let's not forget, I'm trying to build, trying to curate this community, but I need your help to do it. Well, that's gonna be all from me, guys. I'll catch you on the next one, and always remember, One Piece, one life. Looking back at it now that I'm seeing the list and the way I put them, it's the same order as the planet's relation to the sun, where the closer to the sun the planet is, the stronger I'm saying their correlating character is. With Luffy being the sun and Imu being theorized to be some sort of moon, or at least drawing parallels to Luffy, may I be onto Oda's plan? It's probably a coincidence. But if it's not, you heard it here first.